Chapter 1. The Awakening. Elon blinked, his vision blurred as the harsh, artificial lights of the habitat module flickered to life. A high-pitched alarm drilled into his consciousness, dragging him from the depths of a restless slumber. His head throbbed with the remnants of a nightmare, a chaotic blend of fire, screams, and the unforgiving Martian landscape. Groaning, he sat up and looked around. The once orderly habitat was in disarray. Equipment lay scattered, the walls bore scorch marks, and the air was thick with a metallic scent. Elon's heart raced. Something had gone terribly wrong. The terraforming experiment was supposed to be a turning point for humanity, a beacon of hope. But now, it seemed like a distant, shattered dream. He stumbled to his feet, his legs unsteady. The alarm continued its relentless shriek, urging him to action. He slapped the console, silencing the noise, and scanned the habitat for signs of life. Nothing. No movement, no sound other than his own ragged breathing. "Hello," he called out, his voice cracking. "Is anyone there?" Only silence answered him. Elon's mind raced. Where was everyone? He grabbed his comm device, hoping for some explanation. The screen flickered to life, displaying a string of garbled messages and corrupted data. Panic set in. He had to find anyone. He couldn't be alone. Chapter 2. The search begins. Elon donned his suit, the familiar hiss of the seals bringing a small measure of comfort. He stepped outside the habitat into the bleak Martian landscape. The sky, a dull red, stretched endlessly above him. The colony, once bustling with activity, now lay eerily silent. He moved through the settlement, past the greenhouses, the laboratories, and the living quarters. Each step felt heavier than the last. As he ventured further, he noticed the signs of a struggle: overturned equipment, scattered personal belongings, and traces of blood. His mind raced with possibilities. Was it an accident? An attack? The terraforming experiment had been ambitious, but it wasn't supposed to be dangerous. In the main research lab, he found a terminal still functioning. With trembling hands, he accessed the logs. The data was fragmented, but he pieced together the events leading up to the catastrophe. The experiment had gone awry, releasing a wave of destructive energy across the colony. The few survivors had tried to send a distress signal, but it was unclear if it ever reached Earth. Elon's heart sank. He had to know if anyone else had survived. He scoured the lab for clues and found a trail leading to the emergency bunker. His hopes lifted as he hurried to the entrance. Chapter 3. The Bunker. The bunker door was ajar, its thick metal frame bent out of shape. Elon hesitated, fear gnawing at him. Steeling himself, he pushed the door open and stepped inside. The bunker was dark, the emergency lights casting eerie shadows on the walls. "Hello," he called again, his voice echoing in the confined space. This time, there was a response, a faint, almost imperceptible whisper. Elon's pulse quickened as he followed the sound deeper into the bunker. He rounded a corner and froze. Bodies lay scattered across the floor, their faces contorted in expressions of terror. Elon swallowed hard, forcing himself to move forward. In the corner of the room, a figure stirred. He rushed over, dropping to his knees beside them. It was a woman, her breathing shallow and labored. Her eyes fluttered open, and she looked at him with a mix of relief and fear. "Elon," she rasped. You're alive." "So are you," he replied, his voice trembling. "What happened here?" "The experiment. It released something," she whispered. "We tried to contain it, but it was too powerful. It killed everyone." Elon's mind reeled. "What do you mean something? What did it release?" "An energy, a force we didn't understand," she gasped. "It's still out there. You have to stop it." Before he could ask more, her eyes closed, and she fell silent. Elon sat back, numb with shock. He was alone again, but now he had a mission. He had to stop whatever had been unleashed, not just for the sake of the colony, but for humanity itself. Chapter 4. The Truth Uncovered. Elon spent the next few days gathering supplies and studying the fragmented data from the research lab. The more he learned, the more he realized the true extent of the disaster. The energy released by the failed experiment wasn't just destructive, it was sentient, a malevolent force that fed on life. Determined to find a way to contain it, he delved into the research, uncovering the original plans for the terraforming experiment. It had been designed to transform Mars into a habitable environment by harnessing a powerful, experimental energy source. But something had gone wrong, and the energy had mutated into a predatory entity. Armed with this knowledge, Elon devised a plan. He would use the colony's remaining resources to create a containment field strong enough to trap the entity. It was a long shot, but it was the only chance he had. Chapter 5. The Final Stand. Elon worked tirelessly, modifying equipment and calibrating the containment field. Time was running out. He could feel the presence of the entity growing stronger with each passing day. Finally, everything was ready. He activated the field, the machinery humming to life as it generated a pulsating barrier of energy. The ground trembled, and the sky darkened as the entity approached. Elon stood his ground, watching as the amorphous force descended upon the colony. It writhed and twisted, a swirling mass of darkness and light. With a roar, it slammed into the containment field, the impact shaking the very foundations of the settlement. For a moment, Elon feared the field would collapse. But then, slowly, the entity began to weaken, its form dissipating as the field absorbed its energy. With a final, anguished scream, it vanished, leaving behind only silence. Elon collapsed to his knees, exhausted but victorious. The colony was safe, but at a terrible cost. He was the last human on Mars, the only one left to bear witness to the catastrophe and the sacrifice of his fellow colonists. The last message. Days turned into weeks as Elon maintained the colony, keeping the systems running and ensuring the containment field remained stable. He recorded his experiences, hoping that one day, someone would find his logs and learn from the disaster. One evening, as he sat by the communications array, he noticed a flicker on the screen. A message, faint and distorted, but unmistakably from Earth. His heart leaped with hope. "This is Earth Command. We received your distress signal. Rescue mission en route. Hold on, help is coming." Elon smiled, tears streaming down his face. He wasn't alone after all. Help was on the way, and with it, the promise of a new beginning. The last human on Mars would not be the last forever.